Thank you so much to Prime Minister Motley for leading such a powerful conversation. From the wisdom of seasoned leadership to the courage of young innovators, we're reminded that unstoppable African progress happens when experience and fresh ideas move together side by side. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our final Unstoppable African of the day. We end our first day by focusing on an individual who embodies the very theme of this conference, a trailblazer redefining what it means to use influence for impact. She's a CEO, a model, a passionate activist, and the UN Goodwill Ambassador for the International Fund for Agricultural Development. Here to speak with her is one of the key architects of GABI herself, our very own Sanda Odhiambo. Please welcome Sanda and our final Unstoppable African, the incredible Sabrina Elba. A round of applause, please.
Hello. Sabrina.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm taking the stage after Mia. Like, that is never a good idea.
But you
guys
know
each
other, you
organizers.
connected back there, right?
Yes, and thank you for
amazing.
having me. She is. She's brilliant.
You're amazing too, thank you. And your fan club is all here. So we have people in the room and we have thousands online, Sabrina, and I think, you know, you embody for us the unstoppable African, that spirit. You work across so many fields that we don't even know about. And I wanted to spend this 10, 15 minutes just getting to know you a little bit more, me and the people in the audience. So let's start by this question. We're here for these 2 days discussing Africa. In your view, what makes Africa unstoppable?
First of all, thank you for that. And thank you to Unstoppable for having me. I haven't had a chance to make it out. This is probably more exciting for me than anyone here, as a continent so important to us. But I instantly think the people. It is the people across the continent. In the work that I do, I get to go on field visits and across the continent, meeting different communities, meeting rural people, speaking to them firsthand. That's not only what keeps me driving, or keeps driving me, but it's also my source of inspiration. You know, meeting people who are so innovative despite the obstacles set in front of them. And actually, I think obstacles sometimes create the best innovation, right? So absolutely, if you're investing in the continent, you're investing in amazing people. And what I love about that is, growing up, Vancouver, Canada, there weren't a lot of Africans where I was. And actually, I was growing up in a time where there was a lot of, you know, advertising on TV about the obstacles Africans were facing and sort of the negative aspects that the continent was going through. But there wasn't a lot about, you know, the positive face of Africa. And I found myself fighting a lot of that stereotype, you know, because I knew my family to be hardworking, not waiting for a handout. But I think at some point at that time, people might have misconstrued that as, well, that's a charity case or a starving African. You know, I would hear that growing up. So I'm really, really thankful to say now that we can kind of smash that stereotype because the visibility is there. You know, you can connect to a community or a person in Africa online and break down cultural barriers like you couldn't before. So absolutely, the people, number one.
The people, and we heard a lot about that, resilience, innovation, but at the heart of it, people. Talking about people, and I'm going to veer just a little bit. I know your mom is here. She is. Mama Sabrina is somewhere. There she is.
Hi, Mom.
Tell me a little bit about what this moment means for you.
Oh,
she
should actually be
Mom
up
should
here.
be here, right?
She should.
Go ahead.
Did you want to trade places? I got into, I mean, any of the advocacy work I do, all the philanthropic work I do, I mean, that is solely inspired by my mom, because she single-handedly, when I was younger, was like, bye, I'm leaving you guys, I'm going back to Africa. There's a lot to do on the continent. And I was like, why are you going? I didn't understand at the time. And she was just constantly going back to rebuild. She left Somalia right before the civil war started. And she saw the country fall apart on our TV screen in Vancouver, Canada. So you can imagine she always had a determination not only just to get her family to a safe place, but also to go back and to rebuild, to restore a Somalia that she had known. And I think for me, I might just be subconsciously trying to make the planet a better place for the young girl that my mom was, because I would constantly hear about, you know, how important it was for her growing up in a rural community to live off the land that she lives on, to have a sense of community, to show people the power of her community. And now I carry that with me so much in so many different aspects of what I do.
Well, thank you. And let's get into a little bit about what you're doing right now. So you've made this incredible pivot from fashion to being an IFAD Goodwill Ambassador and really working around food and food systems. A few months ago, we had a huge conference in Addis Ababa, the food system stock take. But your work with IFAD takes you really into agriculture and smallholder farmers specifically. Could you tell us a little bit about, you know, that pivot? What inspired you to do that? And when have you seen your advocacy really be the most impactful?
You know, interesting enough, I don't quite see it as a pivot. I think fashion really taught me about influence and, you know, how to kind of use a platform or to gain a platform. And then I think my advocacy work really taught me about responsibility. So to me, they were kind of two sides of the same coin. I used one for the other, and it was about how I could kind of work them in together, if that makes sense. I found the bigger my platform became, the more work I could do across the continent. So I never kind of saw them as different things. But then when I became an entrepreneur, it taught me about accountability. So it's not just about speaking up. It's about what you do once you have spoken about something. How can you help? And more now, I think it's actually less about this platform that I'm building, but more about what will I leave behind? What is that legacy that I want people to remember me for? And I don't want it to be what dress I wore. Although that's nice, I'd love for it to be whose story I lifted up. And, you know, myself and my husband work across the continent looking for investment in, you know, whether it be the creative sectors or in agricultural industry. But we do that because we know we have an opportunity with the platforms that we've built to leave something behind. And I say that not as someone, you know, and I know I'm first generation Canadian, I say that as somebody who feels genuinely part of the soil. And I think diaspora can relate to that calling, you know, and people say, do Africans give back in the same way? And I'm like, do you not know how much remittance goes back to Africa? Like, I mean, I think the number alone is more than any contribution from all of the aid organizations combined.
Absolutely.
Africans care, and diaspora really care. Whether you have family back home or you've been inspired to build that beach house that you know is just gonna be hot property one day, whatever it is, or you see a business opportunity, it's because we know what's happening. And it's almost like we have this little secret, which we don't want to be secret, but we're kind of like, you guys have to catch up with us. The rest of the world needs to catch up.
No, it's really powerful that you mentioned this piece on remittance, because part of what we're doing at Unstoppable Africa is telling the economic transformation story of the continent, and we definitely cannot leave out that remittance piece. But you know, you also talked about entrepreneurship, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Sable, your ethical beauty line, and what that really means, because I know you aim to celebrate African heritage and do business, and business is great, but tell us a little bit about Sable.
Yeah, interesting enough, what started out of just like a pain point, a frustration with the beauty industry not creating product or formulation, or actually not even testing on skin that looked like mine, really turned into a form of storytelling. I mean, I think that's almost one of the best ways I can explain it, because not only did I want to create this range that was efficacious for melanin-rich skin, and we call it melanin inclusive in that it considers the needs of melanin-rich skin. That doesn't mean exclusive, because actually everyone can benefit from product that's created for melanin-rich skin. But I wanted to create an A-beauty brand. And in the same way you may have heard of K-beauty, you know, or Asian beauty in general, continents that like India, Asia, everyone is sort of thinking of that innovation. What are the ingredients? What are the ancestral traditions that have been left behind by those stories? And I want that for Africa. The continent has an abundance of antioxidants that are extremely efficacious because the climates are so harsh. So these botanicals have to be extra resilient. So when I tell people, A-beauty is powerful, I'm not just saying it as a marketing trick or a ploy or appealing to, like, you know, my my personal story or my husband's. It really is because we've been able to create the most efficacious formulations out of those botanicals. What that's also allowed us to do is to put faces to the names of those botanicals. People go into a Whole Foods or, you know, a Trader Joe's, and they might see a baobab beverage, a power shot, like a trendy drink on the counter, not knowing that those ingredients are tied to a face, a story, a community, and actually what a baobab tree means to so many people across East Africa. You know, there's a power in reclaiming that story, and one that I feel has actually been slightly appropriated. So this brand has really turned into so much kind of meeting points of all the different things that I'm really passionate about, because now not only do we get to tell the stories of these ingredients, but we also get to make sure that they're sourced responsibly and traceably from communities that we know, farmers that we meet, business person to business person, by the way, as it should be, because the supply chain in beauty is absolutely broken. You know, women are being not paid the market rate, they're in dangerous conditions, they're having to work with their children just to put a moisturizer on a shelf. That to me is unacceptable, and it cannot happen. And it's about, I think, if people know that there are faces and stories connected to particular ingredients, they will look for businesses that source those ingredients responsibly. But if that story isn't there at all, there's nothing for people to support.
Yeah. No, thank you, Sabrina. That's really, really powerful. I mean, just two quick follow-up questions from there. The first would be, where can we find Sable? Where can we find it, and where do we experience it?
Oh, that's nice. At sablelabs.co. Sable is just Elba's backwards, but it's also a nice, rich brown color. I wish I had it for everyone. I wish I could be like Oprah.
Yeah, you got one. You got
Look
one
under your
chair. We're not going to do that. You've talked a lot about the entrepreneurship and the endeavors that both yourself and your husband lead. And tomorrow we're talking a little bit about the creative sector. And I wonder if you just want to share a little bit of inspiration about that. I know your husband is extremely busy, wasn't able to come, but we admire the partnership that you have and all of the work that you do. So just tell us a little bit about, you know, the joint entrepreneurship and philanthropic work that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I know I probably have rose-colored glasses because I'm in love with this man. But
there you go.
He is absolutely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he doesn't sleep. And the amount of work that he's been doing on the continent in the creative sector, looking to build studios, to bring cinema, because it's so powerful as a storytelling tool to places in far-reached corners of the continent, I think is amazing. And he's had partnerships, you know, with Ghana, with Tanzania, to build studio cities. And think about the infrastructure that that then builds and the people that that then support. So, you know, I mean, and that's just one piece of his puzzle. And I feel I'm getting somewhat of a master class in bringing investment into the continent. So it's been a real joy to watch. We started the Elba Hope Foundation a year ago now, I think, for us to be able to leverage both our platforms in youth advocacy. We do gender work across the continent as well. Of course, we touch on agriculture, which to me this is all an interconnected issue. And it's been, you know, probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life is to be able to work alongside each other. And we bonded over our love for the continent. We fell in love talking about the continent. So, you know, as two Africans really just trying to leave a mark, it's been the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing your story, what inspires you, and most importantly, for being an unstoppable African. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you.